So here we are at the end of 2023 and about to usher in a new year. And I am so feeling blessed and lucky to be experiencing once again Christmas here at New Eden, in front of the fire with a real Christmas tree, surrounded by friends and family from all over the world. We're coming up to 8 years now of owning, stewarding and running this space. And as many of you know, it's not been an easy ride. When Summer and I bought this in 2015, the first couple of years was like a living hell. Although it was a place where I did my best work, and I still continue to do my best work, back then the financial pressures, the overwhelm of taking on something like this was just really, really big. And I'm so grateful that we're in a place now where it feels light, it feels joyful, and I feel inspired to create what actually wants to emerge and be happening here on this land. So every year that goes by, I'm just more and more lit up through my experience of being here and feeling more and more grateful for being a steward of such a sacred piece of land and also such a special building that can host incredible events and allow for the transmission and frequency that comes through the work and can touch so many lives. And I'm also really grateful for the team that is here at New Eden that has transformed the business into a thriving retreat center where this space can not only be used for Heart IQ, but for so many other events and groups, where it becomes a center for transformation and a really sacred space for work that would never have found the light of day unless there was a conduit for that work to occur. And New Eden has been that conduit. And we've now fully booked until the end of the year. Next year, I mean. But as I see the calendar fill up with bookings, a tension arises in me, and anxiety actually seems to percolate in my being. And the anxiousness is my heart signaling to me that it's like knocking on my door going, remember why this investment and this investment in time and money and energy over the last 8 years has taken place. It's not about having this place be a retreat center mainly for other groups. That's a great piece, but it's a small piece. Remember why you came here and what wants to happen here. And that's what is taking a lot of space internally right now in my life. Is I've been with this question a lot, and I just want to share some of the questions without it being really well formulated because my brain can be a bit chaotic. So one of these questions is, there has to be another way to transmit the work beyond weekend workshops and online courses or coming for a week. It makes so much sense for people's jobs and lives and kids and being far away. It all makes so much logical sense, but my heart craves to put out into the world something deeper, wider, that can actually invite people to stay for weeks or months even, and to embody and live this. That's one question I have. Another question I have is, there must be a way in which I'd love to transmit this work and train facilitators specifically in the modality of all that I've learned over the last 20 years. And to not do it as a week course or a online experience for a few months, but like a multi-year university that people go on a full apprenticeship journey, and the opportunity is to develop other masters. So this is another question I'm having. And I think these questions are related. And it all centers around New Eden, because New Eden gives us an opportunity to do something that few other teachers can do unless they have a property like this where people can live and learn and gather. You know, we have a space here for 50, 100 people. We've literally just submitted the plans for a micro village of 15 luxury tiny houses, each with its own bathroom, lounges, bedroom, decks, underfloor heating and beautiful air conditioning. Places where people can now actually come and stay for longer than just a week and to actually embed deeper into the experience. So there are things happening around HeartIQ and New Eden that seem a little bit disconnected and fragmented, but when I zoom out, they're part of a very cool emerging vision. And the third question is, if New Eden were to open its doors for its own program, to invite people not for a retreat where it's being rented out to third parties and other groups, but is in fact, what is New Eden going to be known for? What is the essence or the frequency or the upgrade that somebody receives when they come here? And as I ask that question, I'm reminded about a vision that I had 25 years ago when I was I was studying, in fact, as a chiropractor. My first or second year in chiropractic college, 1997 or 1998, so it was 25 years ago. I remember back then this idea to create a multidisciplinary wellness center. And in order to kind of like share with you a little bit about this, I need to share the context of what a wellness center actually means, because people hear that term and it's thrown around in the health circles very, very commonly, but nobody really understands the essence of what wellness actually is. So when we were chiropractors in training, all that people seemed to talk about as students was, which camp are you? Are you pain-based or wellness-based? Pain-based or wellness-based? A pain-based chiropractor was usually traditionally medically trained and operated under the premise of don't break or interfere with anything that isn't broken, and people are living their life, and let them live their life, and when they're in pain or something happens where they need help, they will find help. So this is often, in a chiropractic sense, it could be somebody's at work and then they bend over the wrong way and ouch, something is happening where it's like, ooh, yeah, I'm hurting, I need help. And so they seek help when they're in pain. And the aim of the intervention, the aim of the doctor or the person that's helping them, the therapist, whatever it is to bring them back out of pain so they can go back to living the life they've always lived. And if you get close to that, you've succeeded. So people don't even expect to necessarily return to exactly where they were, but if you can get them close to where they were, people are generally happy. I found this pain-based way of living or pain-based way of serving clients in chiropractic very depressing. I was like, that is not what my life is about. I do not want to be called when somebody's hurting, nor do I want my function, my purpose, to bring people back to the life that they've been living. I want to awaken people to new ways of living that they didn't even know was possible. And now we start to move towards wellness. Wellness is crafting a brand new life by helping people tap into potential, emotional, energetic, physical, social, psychological ranges that they would never have dared go into, never knew were even possible. New ways of living, new ways of coming together in tribe, community, having an opportunity to experience the future today. This was the tagline of HeartIQ for years, because I felt like every time we gathered in circle, something occurred where we experienced what is my North Star, my raison d'etre, my reason for being, which is unity consciousness. This wave of togetherness, this we space. It felt like we brought in God into the room, and church just opened up, and we're all in church together, not in the religious sense, but in the spiritual sense of we are so in this oneness, this unity consciousness, this divine embodied taste of temple that just arises when we're doing this work. And it felt like, wow, this is a possibility of what's to come. This is like a new normal. This is something that the world needs. And yet it's not permanent. It's a portal into an awareness, into a state of consciousness that under the right circumstances, with other people also opening together, we can go there. We can't do it alone. You can't do it on your own. It needs others. And when we open collectively to the divine, something comes through and we're like, holy shit, this is amazing. And this is what kind of, it's not like I live for, but this is the larger why to the work and to what really this is all about. It's not about taking people from pain to normal so they can go back to the life they've always lived, but instead is to fully love the life that they have, to come into full acceptance and to love and welcome all of their parts. And from that place of deep rest of like, yes, I am who I am, and this is what I've been given. I'm not trying to push and strive away from that. I'm surrendered into this experience and to all that I've been given, and my heart opens and there's gratefulness. Yet also from that place there is a search, there is a quest, there is an inner hunger for that which has yet to be claimed, that wants to be claimed. A hunger for a life that hasn't yet been tapped. A longing to live in an upgraded, higher frequency, up-leveled consciousness that is hard to do when we're surrounded and in a culture of disconnect, separation, numbing, fear, propaganda, and the list goes on and on. So it's like trying to keep a candle alight in a hurricane is very, very difficult. And so I always saw New Eden and Heart IQ as a beacon. It's like a lighthouse. It's calling people home to say, here is a place that we can gather, that we can come together, and we can co-create a new earth, a new normal, where this frequency is embodying us long enough for it to become a new, stable, ongoing reality. And now this is the key, because I found that as I travel around the world and I offer, say, a weekend workshop or even a week-long deep dive, powerful transformation takes place, huge healing, incredible breakthroughs. People are restored, they're brought back into wholeness, they make huge steps in their life and in their healing journey. They go back home and big changes can occur in their relationships, in their business, in their health. And although I find that heartwarming and I'm totally grateful and inspired, and it feels so much better than being in the pain-based model of only helping somebody when they're hurting, I feel there's something else. And the something else that's being called into existence right now is around this frequency of village, of recreating this very social fabric in which we exist and inspiring a new template, a blueprint for how to live in a trauma-informed, well-regulated tribe, and a place where community doesn't stress our nervous systems, but is the place where children finally are birthed in an environment where they're attuned to, where it's not the parents' job to do it all by themselves, where there is a social fabric, a tapestry of deep, interconnected, interwoven state of being where there's one, and that we can rest in that. There's safety in that. And that we can bring the power of this heart intelligent work through the communication, the conflict resolution, but combine it with an environment like at New Eden to explore the possibility of what it's like to rebuild an actual society built on heart intelligence from the ground up. So it's not just the hardware of the house, the home, the electricity and the food, but combining that with the software of the operating system. And then using that blueprint as a model so that others can see what is possible, and to inspire leaders to actually come and learn how to build this around the world, and to plant the seeds of deep transformation at the level of actually creating new village, new homes, new families, new communities. I think that's where my deepest yes lies, because for decades, literally, I've traveled the world teaching workshops and retreats. And although it's been a miracle and a dream come true, and I've had so many great experiences, if I right now imagine my next 10 years was to continue offering weekend workshops, online courses, and retreats, I go flat. I feel something is missing. And because I feel called into a deeper transformational process and an offering that actually goes further. That doesn't just let people go back into their normal lives, but what about changing that normal life into something that's permanently upgraded? So we are looking at how can we actually birth a new type of village, a new type of community, a new type of tribe that infuses technology, that infuses heart-centered living, that calls in leadership, that calls in new forms of communication, new forms of healing, a unified field of existence where we become sovereign, but also unified at the level of one nervous system that kind of feels itself and one another in a way where we wake up and we have this deep sense of collective togetherness. It meets a need that is so deep it has no name in our culture, actually. This is what is inspiring me, and this is where the world of New Eden and my longing for community to come back here, combined with wanting to bring back my facilitator training, which specifically teaches the modality of circle, but wants to go further. It wants to have that be taught in a lived-in community experience, not as a training like a week, a weekend, an online thing only, but for people to come and live this, to actually be transmitted through the lived experience. And this is why Summer and I have started once again the Awakened Living Project. It's the seed, it's the start, it's the fledgling of a vision of turning New Eden into what it was born for and what it was meant for, and why we invested the last 8 years of our life to bringing this into existence. Not as a transformational retreat center for rent, but an actual model, a blueprint of an upgraded way of living by birthing village and a community and infusing that with Heart IQ, and then bringing a school like a university where people can come here and train and get the highest level of education in community living, in consciousness, in relationship coaching, in circle work, in all the high-level facilitator arts that are required to build a new society and bring in a new normal, and take the potential of that future vision and make that an everyday reality, and to spread that around the world far and wide. And so this is what's alive in me, and I can feel that it's touching me deeply on a very personal level. There's a part of me that loves the nomadic life of traveling, and I see that I need to travel. I want to share the work, but I also want to settle. I'd love to bring in a more stable relational field where I can have kids and experience what it's like to be a father. But you know what's interesting about this question about being a dad? I asked myself, like, if I knew that I was going to be a dad today, like if somebody told me the news, oh, you're going to be a father in 9 months, what would change? And so many things would change. And I'm like, this is interesting, isn't it? Like somehow my life would be reoriented around the news that children are on the way. For example, my purpose would shift to become more about how to create an environment where I was raising those children in community, in village, and where attunement and the training of parenting and the opportunity to build a school so they won't be in the same system that I find quite toxic, especially about my own upbringing of being in school. So many things would reorientate around creating an entire cultural shift of how to raise children and the relational, the way to build relationship, the way to build family, the way to combine families into a small tribal unit, and how all of that would work. Everything would shift. And I'm like, wow. But if I knew I had kids today in 9 months, 9 months wouldn't be long enough to prepare for that. So if I know that I want to be a dad, and if I know that I want to be a father, and that's going to be part of my path, then wouldn't it be smart to reorient kind of where I'm focusing now to ensure that that's the future that I would want to create for them? And so that's what's coming alive. It's almost like, yeah, these next years, as I'm now in my mid-40s, I'm 44, going to be 45 in July, and I'm like, okay, this is my next decade. This is my next focus. And it feels really, really right. And to not let go completely of, the things that have worked and that the things that I enjoy, like travel and doing, the occasional retreat here and there. But I'm lit up by something deeper that I think would be transformational, and calling in leaders and people who want to learn how to birth and be part of literally re-architecting society. I think that is where it's at. I think this is what's going to be really, really, really special. So yes. Anything else I want to share before I close this little Christmas New Year's update? Just on a practical note, of course, this seed of awakened living that Summer and I are doing, we're going to be doing 9 days in January as a taster, as a flavor of what does this next chapter look like. Starting off with a separate men and women's weekend, followed by 5 days of community living at New Eden with a theme around slowing down, regulating the nervous system and coming into tribal togetherness. So I'll be leading Circle every day. Summer's going to be bringing in her transmission around parasympathetic dominance, around a way of embodying that day to day. And then we're going to end with a beautiful collective Circle weekend called Thriving in Tribe. So that's happening from January the 5th until the 14th. Super welcome to kind of be part of that. We've just put in the order of 4 tiny houses, these luxury homes that are going to go on the land, and we're building our village. And if any of you are interested in becoming like vacation home owners or tiny house owners, where you can use these homes for yourself, but also be in a shared rental agreement with New Eden as we use these for long form containers and community living. So if you'd like to be an investor or an interested party to help us build this micro village, please reach out to us. Like I said, the first 4 houses are going to be open for purchase, and they'll be ready and delivered by next summer, which is super exciting. Phase 1 is happening in 2024. So steps are already happening here at New Eden to turn this idea, this vision, into the reality that I'm so excited about. Last thing I'll share that is just more of I just want to use this time as you're listening. It's more of a personal dream and longing. 10 years ago, exactly actually, 10 years ago, in 2013, I was doing a Heart Summit in Amsterdam. We had 350 people live in the room for 4 days and another 300 or whatever it was over the live stream. And people still talk about this type of event to this day, like it was one of the most profound weekends of their life. It always surprised me when I hear that. Because I was like, wow, we weren't in circle. It was only 4 days. What was special about it? And yet there's something that happens when hundreds of us gather and come together in this frequency. It's just hard to explain. And we had, of course, beautiful live music and different experiences. And it was just a profound opening and a huge amplified field of love. And I miss it. And I've been saying this for years now. I've been wanting to get kind of like back on the horse of getting on stage, doing larger transmissions of this work to larger fields. And I think that's going to be a very important part of sharing the vision of what I've just shared and inspiring more and more people to kind of come into the fold and to be touched by this so that they too can go on the journey and spread this work and be part of it. But even if nothing happened as an outcome of doing this, I just feel lit up in the joy of like, I want to get back into having large groups receiving a transmission and opening together in church, in divine union. It's just like something about it lights my soul on fire. And this year I had the privilege of doing a retreat while in collaboration with the Sound Field, a beautiful group that uses instrumentation and voice and sound in connection with the facilitation that just transforms the room. Like the partnership makes everything more potent. And I'm looking forward to like, there's an image emerging of like an event where sound and music and voice combined with a transmission of heart intelligence combined with different. It's hard to describe. I don't want to share it too much because I don't want to put too much form to it, but something is coming alive in me where an image is taking form, a shape is coming alive around a new type of event. And I just want to put it out there to say I see myself delivering an event with thousands of people, and there is just an epic opening, a portal of divine consciousness that just comes through as a wave, and people are just blasted into an altered state. It's like taking medicine but not having to take any medicine. It's natural, and through it we connect into a collective hive mind nervous system and channel what wants to come through, and we kind of simultaneously all get upgraded into that space. So this is something that I'd love to also invest time. And I know something like that the reason I don't just jump into that is that they are so expensive. You know, to do these, because I don't want to do it festival style, like in a tent outside in the summer. There's a specific energy. There's a luxury to it. I know that sounds a bit strange, but when I did these events in the past, it was done in these beautiful auditoriums, circular auditoriums, in these conference rooms or these hotels that were pristine and beautiful. Like, I want to do that direction. I don't want to go cheap. I also had a sound system and lights, and there was like a show. It cost like 100,000 euros to put it on properly. These things were not cheap, right? That's why we stopped doing them. And I regret it. This my career regret is stopping the Heart Summit. But I'd love to find a way to bring that back, and so it becomes like an epic show, an epic experience, an epic. It's epic. It's just epic. I want that epic part of me to live through this. It's just a side that wants to come out and just stand in that kind of the bigness of what that is and what that represents. And so one step that we can take is actually, although New Eden can't store thousands of people, the main room can have, say, 100, and then the rest can be live streamed, and we can create a stage, we can have the lights, and we can have the sound field present, and we can taste and do a little mini one, and we can kind of grow step by step. I have a vision of where it wants to end up. I'm not going to share about it right now, but it would have thousands of people. But I think New Eden could be a good step. And I'd love for you, if you are interested in this, to support it. I know that means us telling you in advance, a lot in advance, and to be really clear about the dates and stuff like that. But when something like this shows up next year, and if you want to see something like this really take form and take shape, please support it. Yeah. Just, it would just make my heart totally light up and come alive and on fire. Well, so that's it for now. I'm wishing you an amazing transition into 2024. Take time to reflect on your year gone by. Where are you grateful? What is it that you want for this next year? Set your intentions and then surrender them. Don't be a stranger. Leave a comment and share what lit you up about this, or just say hi, and I will speak to you very, very soon.